So we've seen now from the 68, 95, 99.7 rule that we can sometimes solve a normal distribution just using that rule. But of course, that won't always be the case. So suppose we had a random variable that was normally distributed with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 20. So I'll write 20 squared here for the variance. And suppose I wanted to work out the following probability. I wanted to work out what's the probability that x is less than 110. How do I actually work that out, given that it doesn't correspond nicely to the 68, 95, 99.7 rule? Well, I'll come to that in a second. Now, suppose I had the following different random variable y, and it had the following normal distribution. It had a mean of 8 and a standard deviation of 5. And I wanted to work out the probability that y was less than 10.5. Well, you may be thinking, what do these two questions have in common? Well, the answer is they actually have the same answer. Now, here's why. Suppose I think about the normal distribution that represents the variable x, and I put in the mean, which is 100, and I put in 110. Okay, so we're looking for the probability of being less than 110. Now, suppose I think about the same thing over here. So here's the normal distribution representing y, and let's put in the mean, which is 8, and then we wanted to know what's the probability of being less than 10.5. So here's why these are the same. Instead of thinking about 110 as an absolute value, let's think about it as how many standard deviations above the mean are we? Well, there's a gap here of 10. And how many standard deviations is that? Well, the standard deviation is 20. So that's half a standard deviation above the mean. What about this one over here? Well, you've got a gap of 2.5 from there to there. And 2.5 is, well, that's half a standard deviation above the mean as well. What we can actually do is use something called the standard normal distribution. The standard normal distribution counts how many standard deviations above or below the mean we are. So here's how we unite these. The mean itself is, by definition, 0 standard deviations above the mean. There'll be a point which is 1 standard deviation above the mean. There'll be a point which is 1 standard deviation below the mean. I'll call that -1. There'll be a point which is 2 standard deviations above the mean. And there'll be a point which is 2 standard deviations below the mean. This distribution here is the standard normal distribution. It's how we're going to solve the majority of our normal distribution questions, because both of these, the x and the y, are both really asking the same thing, which is what's the probability of being half a standard deviation above the mean or less. So this distribution here is typically denoted with a z, a capital Z, and it is the normal distribution with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Our challenge is to transform any distribution we have into the standard normal distribution. Once we have it in a standardized form, we can use tables or a calculator to solve normal distribution problems. So let's think now about what the connection is between a real-world example like this x distribution and the standardized distribution. So suppose we have our x distribution from before, which was a normal distribution with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 20, and we want to transform that into our standardized or our standard normal distribution, which has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Well, it can be instructive to actually just go with the example we had before, and then we can generalize from that. So the point that we were interested in was the point 110. That was the question we asked, right? It was, what's the probability that x is less than 110? So 110 was here, and we reasoned as follows. We said this was half a standard deviation above the mean. And so on our standardized model, it was denoted by a half, because that's what the standard model gives us. The standard normal distribution just counts standard deviations above the mean. So half here corresponds to half a standard deviation above the mean. So we can say that's the same as z being less than half. So how did we work out that 110 was half a standard deviation above the mean? Well, first we said, how far above the mean is it? Well, it was 110 minus 100. That was 10, so it was 10 above the mean. Now, how many standard deviations is 10? Well, 10 divided by 20 is a half. And so that's where we got our half from. A half was 110 minus 100 over 20, and that's how we knew it was half a standard deviation above the mean. This can be generalized. So in general, our z value is our x value minus the mean. That tells you how far above the mean it is. If it's a negative number, it'll tell you it's below the mean. And you divide this by the standard deviation to tell you not how far above the mean it is in absolute terms, but how many standard deviations it is above the mean. So this here is a very, very important formula which we'll be using a lot. If you have any normal distribution and you want to standardize it, you chuck it into this formula here and it will convert your x value into a z value. Okay, now that you have that, how do you actually work it out? Well, there's two ways of doing this. One is using the tables that you get in your exam. Another is using a calculator. Now, most people learn this using tables. That's increasingly becoming a little bit out of date. So if you do have a calculator that can do this, I'd probably encourage you to do that, but I will show you both ways. Okay, so to solve this using tables, well, let's have a look at what the tables look like. So in your formula booklet, you will see a page that has something like this on it. Apologies if this looks very tiny on your screen. So there's an awful lot of information here. Now, here is how to use this. What you have here is z values, and this will tell you the probability of being less than a particular z value. Now, our z value was 0.5, so that was quite an easy one. 0.5 is here. These numbers in the top row allow you to add more decimal points after that. So if you wanted it to be less than 0.53, you would scan down this column here, but we want it to be 0.5, well, 0. So we'd scan down this column here. And so this is our answer. That is the probability that z is less than 0.5. So 0.6915. Now, the notation you'll often see for this is this notation here, the Greek letter phi. So phi of 0.5 means what's the probability on the standardized normal distribution of being less than 0.5. Now, I'll work through plenty more examples so you can see it in cases where the z value is a more complicated number than 0.5, but that's just to get you going with how we use the tables. Now, I also want to show you how to use a calculator for this. So on your calculator, if you go to Menu, and then you scroll to Distributions, one of your options is a normal distribution. Now, it's normal CD that we want. You'll never be using PD, which gives you the height of the bell curve, which is not a useful bit of information for our purposes. And we give a lower and an upper bound. Now, if we want the probability that z is less than 0.5, well, it goes up to 0.5. But What does it go down to? What's our lower bound? Well, theoretically, it's minus infinity. Well, we can't put minus infinity in the calculator, but you can put something like that. Now, I know this seems like a bit of a hack, and it is. It's just that the calculator demands you put an upper and a lower. So if one of those is infinity, which is here, we have a lower bound of minus infinity. You just put a sort of random huge negative number. Now, you'll notice by default, it has a standard deviation of 1 and a mean of 0. You can change that, and we will do that later on in the course, but for now I'm just going to leave it in the standardized form. That's sigma, standard deviation is 1, mu for mean is 0. And look, it gives us the same result, just in a little bit more detail, 0.6915. So we get the same result there. Now, I think on balance, I prefer using the calculator because it's easier than the tables, but I will show you how to use both. So that's a little intro to the standard normal distribution. In the next video, we're just going to apply that to a bunch of questions so you get really comfortable using tables to solve normal distribution problems. So I'll see you there.